Welcome in to anybody who came in, stopped in, or even just hit the like button. I hope everyone is having a great day. This video will still be up for review, and you all can always go back and rewind it. But as usual, I'm going to put this recording on here, and y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I do understand there's a certain amount of people that is alive, so that's very understandable, and I respect that. So I'm gonna get right on to it, and I hope everyone have a blessed weekend.
Knew her name. Her image was instantly recognizable, and her life played out for the world to see. To some, she was an inspiration. To others, an object of admiration or envy. But no one truly knew her. No one saw what was hidden behind the perfect picture. Mercedes Moore lived in a world where fame brought opportunities, but also risks. Among her followers were not just fans, but those who believed they had a right to her attention. One of them was convinced he knew her better than anyone. One of them decided their meeting was inevitable. Now her phone was silent. Messages remained unread. From the outside, everything looked the same, but inside, a nightmare was unfolding. Janai Gagnier was born in 1987 in Los Angeles to Mark and Janetta Gagnier. Her parents were known for their discipline and structure, traits shaped by their military background. They met while serving in the armed forces, but after getting married, they decided to leave that life behind and focus on building a business. Their ultimate goal was to open a restaurant, which later became their life's work. Janai was the eldest child, and in time, she became the older sister to two younger girls. She maintained a warm and trusting relationship with them. Her parents raised their daughters in an environment of discipline, but without excessive strictness. They instilled a sense of responsibility, while also encouraging independence and initiative. This approach shaped Janae's entrepreneurial mindset from a young age. From early childhood, she was energetic, curious, and had an easy way with people. Her outgoing nature kept her in the center of attention, and her natural charm and confidence made her popular among her peers. She was persistent. Once she set her mind on something, she wouldn't stop until she achieved it. At 12, Janae found a way to earn her own money. She set up a small makeshift studio for braiding hair in the garage of her family's home. At first, her clients were just friends and classmates, but soon word spread through the neighborhood. Before long, women lined up in the evenings, eager to get her signature braids. This small business gave Janae her first taste of financial independence. But her carefree childhood came to an abrupt end when she turned 14. Her parents decided to separate, and the divorce was anything but smooth. Conflicts and arguments followed, leaving a lasting impact on Janae. In the end, her father moved to Texas, a decision that shook her to her core. She remained in Los Angeles with her mother and sisters, but now her life was split between two worlds. Part of her time was spent with her mother, the other with her father, regularly traveling back and forth between states. This period had a profound impact on her personality. She became more short-tempered, withdrawn, and sharp in her responses. Her school performance declined, and tensions with her mother escalated. To her parents, it seemed like typical teenage rebellion, but in reality, Janae was struggling to cope with the breakdown of her family. Over time, the strain in her relationship with her parents began to ease. As she grew older, Janae was able to accept the situation and establish a new dynamic with both her mother and father. Gradually, she regained her balance, rekindled her energetic spirit, and once again earned the respect and admiration of those around her. By the time she graduated high school, Janae was determined to be successful in life, though she hadn't yet figured out exactly how. She completed her education with solid grades and enrolled in college, planning to pursue a career in dentistry. But fate had something else in store for her. After high school, Janae entered college with the goal of becoming a dental assistant. At the time, she saw it as a stable and reliable career path that would allow her to support herself and build a secure future. However, just a few months into her studies, she realized it wasn't the right fit. The coursework felt dry and uninspiring, and the idea of working in the field long-term no longer seemed appealing. Ultimately, Janae made a difficult decision. She dropped out of college despite her parents' objections. Her choice came as a shock to them. They had hoped their eldest daughter would follow a traditional career path, securing stability and success in a conventional way. It was during this time that Janae met a young man, and their relationship progressed quickly. He suggested they move to Las Vegas, assuring her that the city offered more opportunities for them to build an independent life and achieve financial freedom. Excited by the prospect of a fresh start, she agreed. Relocating to a new city turned out to be a major challenge. Las Vegas, a place that never sleeps, was filled with possibilities, but also demanded financial security and a clear survival strategy. Without a degree or work experience, finding a reliable source of income was no easy task. Janae explored different options, but most offered low pay and grueling hours with little room for advancement. One day, through acquaintances, she learned about an opportunity to work at a nightclub. What caught her attention was the potential to earn significantly more than in traditional jobs that didn't require a college degree. Despite her initial doubts and hesitations, her difficult financial situation pushed Janae to give it a try. Her first few shifts weren't easy. She wasn't sure if this line of work suited her, and she felt uncomfortable and uncertain. However, she quickly realized that her earnings outweighed her concerns. On average, she was making around $5,000 a week, enough to cover rent, enjoy a comfortable lifestyle, and even start saving. Over time, her perspective on the industry shifted. What had initially seemed like a temporary solution gradually became an intentional career move. She started to see that working in the entertainment industry wasn't just about making money. It was also a way to build valuable connections. Many club patrons were wealthy individuals, celebrities from the music and sports industries, and successful entrepreneurs. Janae observed how other women in her field used their work as a stepping stone to bigger opportunities. However, her family reacted negatively to her decision. When her parents found out what she was doing, it caused tension and disappointment. They couldn't accept the fact that Janae had turned away from a traditional career path in favor of a profession they viewed as questionable. Disagreements on the topic led to frequent conflicts, straining their relationship. Her family tried to convince her to return to a more stable and socially accepted career, but Janae stood by her decision. She emphasized that she was making a conscious choice, was happy with her life, and was earning well, but that wasn't enough for her parents. In their eyes, their daughter had given up a promising future in favor of an easy but unrespected source of income. Over time, the pressure from her family lessened. They realized that Janae was firm in her choices and had no intention of changing her lifestyle. However, the gap in how they viewed her career remained unresolved. For Janae, this period was a turning point. She had gained financial independence and confidence in herself, allowing her to shape her future on her own terms. Now, she had access to opportunities she never had before, marking the beginning of her rise to broader recognition. While working in the entertainment industry, Janae understood that in order to advance, she needed to create a striking and memorable image. It was during this time that she came up with the stage name Mercedes Moore. The new name had to sound bold, command attention, and set her apart from others. The experience she gained in her early nightclub jobs helped her develop a strategy for building her personal brand. She focused on working in venues that attracted a wealthier clientele, where the pay was higher and the networking opportunities were greater. Gradually, she began receiving invitations to exclusive establishments in Las Vegas. These high-end clubs were known for their elite atmosphere, often frequented by well-known public figures. Working in these exclusive venues opened new doors for Janae. She started meeting wealthy and influential people and soon received invitations to private events. Over time, her social circle expanded to include well-known public figures. These connections helped her realize that she could use her appearance, lifestyle, and network to attract a larger audience. She saw the potential of social media as a tool for self-promotion and personal branding. Janae began actively growing her online presence, focusing primarily on Instagram, while also utilizing Snapchat and Twitter. Instagram proved to be the ideal platform for showcasing her image and lifestyle. Her popularity skyrocketed. Followers were captivated by her looks, luxurious lifestyle, and connections to celebrities. As time went on, Janae started appearing in the stories and posts of well-known personalities, further boosting her audience. Before long, her Instagram account reached 3 million followers. She had now become a recognizable figure in the influencer world. This new status allowed her to generate income through brand collaborations, sponsorships, and promotions that aligned with her image. This phase of her life marked a major transition. Janae was no longer just a woman working in the entertainment industry. She had become a media personality, someone people followed, talked about, and watched closely. As her social media fame continued to grow, Mercedes Moore started thinking about how to turn her massive following into a stable source of income. Sponsored content brought in money, but relying on platform algorithms and advertiser demands came with limitations. She wanted a way to take full control of her earnings and build a more direct connection with her audience. During this time, she took notice of OnlyFans, a platform that allowed content creators to sell exclusive material to subscribers for a monthly fee. Mercedes saw how many models and influencers were achieving financial success on the site and decided to give it a try. After setting up her account, she immediately started promoting it to her followers. Those interested in exclusive content flocked to her page, and within a short period, her subscriber count skyrocketed. In just a few months, she had thousands of paying followers, and her earnings exceeded all expectations. Unlike brand deals that depended on outside companies, OnlyFans provided Janae with a stable and predictable income. She was no longer tied to late-night shifts at clubs and could work on her own terms. Financial independence allowed her to make decisions that once seemed out of reach. As her earnings grew, Janae was able to completely step away from the entertainment industry. Her primary source of income was now online. She created content, managed her social media presence, and built her personal brand. Leaving the club scene was a conscious and significant decision for her. She no longer wanted to depend on clients, rigid schedules, or the demands of a nightlife-driven career. This newfound stability also had a positive impact on her personal life. Around this time, she began a relationship with a man who was not involved in show business or the entertainment world. He preferred to stay out of the public eye, and their relationship developed away from media attention and fan speculation. Those close to Mercedes noted that she seemed calmer and more self-assured. She could now afford to live in a private, upscale community, travel freely, and pursue projects that genuinely excited her. She had plans to launch her own clothing line and expand her personal brand. On the surface, this chapter of her life appeared to be her most successful: financial independence, personal happiness, and a thriving social media career. However, as her popularity grew, so did unforeseen dangers that she had underestimated. Among her millions of followers were not just devoted fans, but also individuals whose unhealthy obsession could lead to serious consequences. The first warning signs came when personal details started appearing in the comments under her posts. Strangers mentioned neighborhoods where she lived and listed places she frequently visited. At first, it seemed like a coincidence, but soon, things spiraled out of control. One user went as far as publicly posting her home address. This quickly became a serious problem. Soon after, messages containing threats, inappropriate requests, and persistent demands for meetings began flooding her inbox. And then, strangers started showing up at her house. Some arrived with gifts, hoping to get her attention. Others simply stood outside her gates, waiting for a glimpse of her. In some instances, people even rang her doorbell, asking to be let in. Initially, she dismissed these incidents as isolated events, but the situation kept escalating. Unknown individuals began lurking near her residence, waiting by her parking area, and following her movements. She started noticing the same cars parked nearby at different times of the day. Her lifestyle changed. She started going out less and became more cautious with her social media posts. Janae no longer tagged her location, avoided showing details of her home's interior, and took extra steps to prevent anyone from figuring out where she lived. The sense of security she once had was gone. Now, every knock at the door made her anxious, and unexpected noises put her on edge. At some point, Janae realized she couldn't continue living this way. She made the decision to move to a gated community in Houston. It seemed like the safest option: secured entry, surveillance cameras, and on-site security. Her new home was supposed to be her sanctuary, a place where no one could reach her without permission. It felt like this step would finally put an end to the unwanted attention. But even the highest fences couldn't protect her from what was about to happen. While Mercedes Moore was enjoying her success, someone was watching her from a distance. Someone she had never met and didn't even know existed. His name was Kevin Accordo. He lived in Florida, led what seemed to be a normal life, had no criminal history, held a job, and appeared to be just like millions of other people. But at some point, something in his mind shifted. Kevin became obsessed with Mercedes. He followed her every move through social media. Each new photo, every post, only deepened his fixation. She had no idea who he was. He was just another follower among millions, but to him, she was the center of his world. Over time, his obsession turned into an unhealthy fixation. Kevin convinced himself that there was a special connection between them, even though they had never interacted. He studied her updates, analyzed her lifestyle, took note of the places she visited, and paid close attention to the people in her circle. At some point, watching from a distance was no longer enough. He decided he had to meet her. Kevin started looking for ways to find out where Mercedes lived. Even though she was careful not to share her exact location, small details in her posts gave him clues. He examined the backgrounds of her photos, compared interior elements to real estate listings, and combed through comments from followers, all in an attempt to pinpoint her address. The turning point came with one of her final posts. In the picture, a small detail: her front door was visible. That was all Kevin needed. From this image, he was able to pinpoint the neighborhood, and when a follower casually mentioned the name of the residential complex, he had his answer. Now he knew exactly where to find her. Without hesitation, he got into his car and began the long drive to Texas. It was a journey spanning thousands of miles. He crossed multiple states, spending days on the road. But none of that mattered to him. He was convinced that this meeting would change everything. When Kevin Accordo arrived in Houston, his main goal was to get inside the gated community where Mercedes Moore lived. The area was secured with controlled access and on-site security. However, he managed to bypass these protections. According to law enforcement, he may have slipped in behind a resident's vehicle as they entered the complex or posed as a delivery driver to avoid suspicion. Surveillance footage captured him several times walking near her home, suggesting he was surveying the area before making his move. There were no signs of forced entry. The windows remained intact, the door was undamaged, leading investigators to believe that he may have waited for Mercedes at the entrance and forced his way in as she opened the door. Another possibility was that he had learned of a scheduled package delivery and used it as an excuse to get her to open up. Once he was inside, the situation took a deadly turn. The attack was swift and violent. The evidence suggested that Mercedes fought back with everything she had. Bloodstains on the walls, floor, and furniture painted a picture of a desperate struggle. She resisted until the very end, but Kevin had the physical advantage. Her injuries told the story of a brutal assault. Bruises and deep marks covered her body, indicating a sustained and aggressive attack. The trauma suggested that she had suffered severe blows to the head. There was no firearm found at the scene, but authorities determined that the cause of death was asphyxiation. Kevin had likely grabbed her by the neck and refused to let go until she stopped moving. After committing the crime, he did not leave. He stayed inside the apartment for 3 days. For 72 hours, he lived in the home of the person he had taken from this world. He slept in Mercedes's bed, ate from her refrigerator, and used her personal belongings. His fingerprints were everywhere. His presence was imprinted in every room. During those 3 days, he also left writings on the walls, mirrors, and doors. They were scribbled in red lipstick, a collection of disjointed phrases. Some expressed regret, others hinted at betrayal, and there were cryptic messages about Mercedes allegedly wearing another man's ring. Investigators believed this either pointed to a severe mental breakdown or an overwhelming sense of injustice that he felt. No one raised the alarm at first, because Mercedes's family was in another city. Concern only arose when she stopped responding to calls and messages. That was when her father, Marc Gagné, made the decision to check on her in person. Arriving at her home on the evening of August 29th, he immediately sensed that something was wrong. Her car was still in the garage, meaning she hadn't left the complex. He walked up to the front door, rang the doorbell, and knocked. No answer. Peering through the windows, he saw that the curtains were drawn, and there was no sign of movement inside. Mark knocked again, this time louder. Another ring of the doorbell. Silence. He tried the doorknob, but the door was locked. Stepping back, he braced himself and threw his weight against it. It didn't budge at first, but on the second attempt, the lock gave way, and the door swung open. A strong, suffocating odor hit him instantly. The air inside was thick with decay. His stomach turned, but he forced himself to step inside. That's when his eyes locked onto the staircase. At the bottom, sprawled on the floor, was his daughter. Mark froze. Mercedes was lying face down, her body positioned unnaturally. Her clothing was stained with dried blood, her skin pale, her lips tinted with a bluish hue. Mark couldn't move, couldn't look away. Time itself seemed to stop. Then, suddenly, a dull noise came from upstairs. He snapped his head up. In the dim light of the second floor, he saw a figure collapsed on the ground. The man's body trembled slightly, but within seconds, he went still. Without hesitation, Mark ran up the stairs. Inside one of the rooms, on the floor in a pool of blood, lay a man with a knife lodged in his chest. He was still alive, but his eyes were already losing focus. Mark didn't recognize him. He had never seen this person before. Looking around, he noticed the same red writings covering the walls, mirrors, and doors. Lipstick scrawls, uneven and smeared, with erratic lettering that seemed to come from a deeply disturbed mind. Among the messages, "I'm sorry. I was deceived. She wore another man's ring." As Mark tried to process what he was seeing, the man on the floor took one final breath, and then he was gone. Police arrived just minutes after receiving the call. As investigators surveyed the scene, they identified the deceased as Kevin Accorto, a Florida resident with no prior criminal record and no history of legal trouble. It was confirmed that he had spent 3 days in the house after committing the crime. His actions suggested a deep psychological disturbance. He made no attempt to clean up the crime scene. He didn't try to escape. He simply waited. When the door opened and Mercedes's father stepped inside, Accorto realized his time was up. Knowing there was no way out, he grabbed a knife and inflicted a fatal wound to his own chest. Paramedics attempted to save him, but he passed away on the spot. The investigation confirmed that Kevin had never met Mercedes. They weren't acquaintances, had never spoken, and had no personal connection. The only link between them existed entirely in his mind. Piece by piece, police reconstructed what had happened. A man had stalked her through social media, tracked down her location, traveled thousands of miles to find her, broken into her home, taken her life, and then lived in her space as if she were still there. The truth was finally uncovered, but it changed nothing. As news of Mercedes Moore's tragic death made headlines, the public reaction was immediate. The case sparked widespread discussion, quickly gaining traction in both mainstream media and social platforms. But almost as soon as the news broke, misinformation followed. False reports flooded the internet. Some sources claimed her passing was due to an overdose of prohibited substances, while others stated she had died from COVID-19. Speculative articles circulated rumors about her health, suggesting she had a serious illness and that complications had led to her death. Then came an even more bizarre theory, one that alleged Mercedes had lost her life during an intimate encounter. This rumor gained traction after unverified claims surfaced about how her body had been found. None of these rumors were based on fact. Official sources quickly dismissed the false narratives, confirming that her death was a result of a premeditated crime linked to stalking. With the full picture now clear, law enforcement had no further doubts. The perpetrator was gone. There would be no trial, no legal proceedings, and no sentence. Kevin Accordo had evaded justice by taking his own life, leaving Mercedes' family with an overwhelming sense of unfairness. For her loved ones, it meant that no one would be held accountable. There would be no conviction, no punishment that could bring even a fraction of closure. All that remained were scattered pieces of evidence, signs of struggle, the cryptic writings on the walls, and questions that would never be answered. Her family was devastated. Mark Gagne, her father, was the first to see her lifeless body. The trauma of that moment never left him. He spoke openly about how his mind constantly replayed that night, walking into his daughter's home and finding her gone. Her younger sisters lost more than a sibling. They lost their guiding figure, the person they looked up to. Her mother struggled to cope, crushed by the weight of what had happened. Despite their grief, the family made a decision. They would do everything they could to keep Mercedes' memory alive. Her father took to the media, speaking out about the dangers of stalking and the need for influencers to take their safety seriously. He wanted his daughter's story to serve as a warning to others. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, y'all. So I need to I'm gonna go ahead and do some research on that since he actually went to the media and stuff like that. I need to see how is their last name Guardia. I need to see how that's actually you know, spelled. So I can go ahead and pull it up and see if I can pull up that media coverage as well. Like this is my first time ever, I probably went through it probably like within the first 5 to 7 minutes and something like that. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna do a little pop-up on this video and I say that, to my little videos that I actually just put into a category, when I randomly just want to just pull some type of content up for y'all. So that's why I didn't really do any type of research on it. But since I see the outcome of everything, I do want to pull up this creepy man, see if anything behind him or if he came up in any other type of situation or a case. And then I also want to pull up that media shot as far as from the father of that gorgeous young lady. Like it's crazy, y'all. Like everybody be really just want to be successful social media influencers, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of pros and cons that comes with that. You have to be safe. You have to take safe measures. And even without being a social media influencer, we still have to still take those safe measures at the end of the day. Like it's crazy, but if y'all are more than welcome to actually review this video. And if y'all want to do your own research, and then if you have found out any information, we can always come back and do this again. And the video is pretty short. I think it's probably about a good 20 some odd minutes, no more than about 30 minutes. So it's pretty short, and we can just review it and then go through whatever it is information that we all came up with. I mean, we're a team, and we need to find out stuff about this so we can be able to enlighten everybody about stuff like that. But I love y'all and thank y'all everybody for coming in. I just wanted to put something out there or whatever, and then I'll probably end up coming back once I get done cooking and everything. I really appreciate y'all. I love you all. Have a good day. Thank you for joining. Please hit the like button. I appreciate y'all.